So it's been a couple of days since the early release of Battlefield 2042, and in this video I want to dive into some things that are a little bit less obvious, things you might not know, but things that can really improve your overall experience if you do know them. And this video is sponsored by EA, so a big thanks to them. If you want to check out Battlefield 2042 or get more information about the game, be sure to click the link down below. We're gonna cover all three experiences in Battlefield 2042, so that's Hazard Zone, Portal, and of course All Out Warfare. I'm gonna start off with some simple things first, and then we're gonna go more in depth. The first thing I want to mention is something that I still see people being confused about, myself included until very recently, because if you played the last two Battlefield games, Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, you may not have realized this, but you actually appear on the enemy's minimap when firing your gun without a suppressor or subsonic ammo. Now this seems pretty obvious, but Battlefield Hardline was actually the last Battlefield game where this was the case. That was over 6 years ago, and like I said, in Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5 you did not appear on the enemy's minimap when firing an unsuppressed weapon. That wasn't the case at all, but now you know, if you fire an unsuppressed gun or a gun without subsonic ammo in Battlefield 2042, you do appear on the enemy's minimap, so keep that in mind next time you are flanking. Next thing I quickly want to talk about is traversal sprint. For the first time in the history of the franchise, I believe, you have a second sprint mode to run even faster, obviously. This is to traverse the gigantic maps in Battlefield 2042 just a bit quicker. So you have regular sprint and traversal sprint, but if you are faster using traversal sprint compared to regular sprint, why not use it all the time? Surely there are some downsides to it. Well, I believe your footsteps are a little bit louder than regular sprint, but other than that, there is no real drawback compared to regular sprint. You're simply faster. Some people told me that aiming down the sight is slower when exiting traversal sprint, but I tested it out, and as you can see in the background, that doesn't appear to be the case. So I would advise you to actually enable to have traversal sprint always on instead of having to double press the sprint button, especially in controller, because your L3 button will live a lot longer. So go into the options menu, go to controller settings, on foot, and then set always use traversal sprint to on. Another useful thing to know regarding mobility is the fact that bunny hop sliding, or whatever you want to call it, is actually faster than regular or even traversal sprint. So it's good to have that kind of built into your muscle memory, and it also makes you a harder target to hit, and especially from elevation it can also give you a good speed boost. But if you are actually in the middle of nowhere, which is possible in Battlefield 2042 because of the gigantic maps in All Out Warfare, you can often call in a vehicle. Sometimes you can even call in a tank, or in this case an anti-air tank. But if the tanks are not available, you can always use a transport vehicle, and trust me, choose the hovercraft. This thing is insanely powerful. It can take a lot of damage. I believe it even takes 2 main tank shells to destroy it. It has a crazy good minigun on top, which you can also upgrade to different types of cannons, and you also have 2 side-mounted machine guns. If you have a squad of 4 driving this thing and they know what they're doing, it's gonna be very difficult to deal with, so always choose the hovercraft. This thing is amazing. Another good call-in is the Ranger. This robot dog is very handy to have as an infantry player, especially as a solo player, because 2 things it does extremely well in my opinion is spotting enemies and softening those enemies up for you. It doesn't really, actively spot enemies on your minimap, but if it does see an enemy, which it can do much better than you at further ranges, it starts shooting, so you know that somebody is there. And even though the Ranger's machine gun doesn't do a lot of damage, it does often requires less bullets of your gun to kill that target afterwards, so it can be very useful. One last thing I want to mention about mobility is the parachute. This is something I got stuck on initially as well, but you have 2 different parachute modes, if you will. Normal mode, where you slowly descend down with very little control, but with the ability to use your weapons, and another mode called steering mode. This is basically to have more control while parachuting. It's really useful to clear a gap, and you can use this in many different scenarios. For example, if you get thrown into the air by a tornado, you can then use your parachute in steering mode to travel really far. So don't be this guy. If you don't use steering mode, you are basically a sitting dog, and this happens. Or actually a flying dog, but you know what I mean. Of course, a better way to fly is with the Wingsuit. So let's talk about some of the specialists in Battlefield 2042. I'm not going to talk about all of them, only a few that I personally really like, and some things they can do that some of you probably didn't even know. First off is Sundance, my favorite specialist as of now, obviously because of the Wingsuit. The Wingsuit replaces your normal parachute, and with it you can do some crazy cool stuff. For example, like I said, with the tornado, You can use it to basically fly and travel across the entire map. But what a lot of people don't realize is the fact that you don't even need some big air to deploy your wingsuit. All you need is a jump high enough to where you normally could deploy your parachute, and that is enough to actually use your wingsuit and, well, basically fly from there on out. If you combine the wingsuit with a spawn beacon, on breakthrough specifically, you can get behind enemy lines very easily and then have your whole squad spawn there with the spawn beacon. Try it out sometimes, it's really good. But Sundance also has some special grenades, and what a lot of people don't know is that you can actually cycle through them. By pressing the same button, you can cycle between scanner grenades, anti-armor grenades and EMP grenades. Scanner grenades are basically normal grenades that cover a larger area of effect. So combined with your regular grenades, you technically have 4 grenades at your disposal to throw at your enemy. And indoors especially, this is very deadly. The anti-armor grenades are very situational, but they can work really well if you know how to use them. They are basically fire and forget lock-on grenades, or throw and forget, and they are best used against weaker armored targets like cars and helicopters. Cars usually don't have an anti-lock-on system, so sometimes you can get lucky like I did in this clip.
Closing in on target. Tracking.
But another way to use them is against helicopters. If you throw one, it automatically locks on the helicopter, and more often than not, the pilot will deploy his flares. Now, after this, you can use your regular anti-air missiles, if you have them, and be way more effective, dealing more damage in a shorter amount of time. I don't advise using them against tanks, especially not in a 1v1 situation, because a tank won't take that much damage from these grenades. Instead, I would just use the EMP grenades to disable the tank's system so they can't shoot for a short amount of time, and then you can either decide to get the hell out of there with your wingsuit or try to attack with some C5 explosives. There are also some other specialists with quote-unquote hidden gadgets, for example Irish. By cycling through Irish's gadgets, you obviously have his extremely powerful shields, 2 of them, but if you cycle again, you also have some sort of deployable trophy system which is stopping incoming explosive fire, such as grenades. So if you combine that with the shield, technically you become pretty close to indestructible. It's really good, try it out. Another quick tip I have is regarding the syringe pistol of Maria Fogg, aka the medic specialist. You probably already know that you can heal friendlies from a distance with this thing, and you can also heal yourself by holding down the gadget button. But as you can see, when you do this, there is a little animation before you apply the healing to yourself. So here's just a little tip, be sure to don't do that and instead just shoot your syringe pistol at your feet. It's a little bit faster, and you never know, it can actually save your life. The last thing I want to say about all-out warfare before we go to Hazard Zone and Portal is the fact that you can also play alone or co-op with friends against enemy AI. You can do this by going to the game mode selection menu in All-Out Warfare and press R1 on PlayStation or RB on Xbox, and now you are in the, what I like to call, going on a 100 kill streak game mode. Basically, this is the perfect way to get familiar with the game or even ranking up certain weapons and vehicles. For example, if you keep missing out on using the tank because someone else always takes it right before you can still go into this mode, use the tank and still level it up. It doesn't matter if friendly AI soldiers are in the tank, you are more important than them, so you can always be the driver. And you can also actually select the skill level of the AI soldiers, so if you don't want to sweat, maybe just want to explore the map a little bit, you can use this mode. Next up, let's talk about Portal. When I first heard about this experience in Battlefield 2042, I thought it was a joke, honestly, like it was too good to be true, but after seeing the things you can create with the Portal tools, I'm simply amazed. I didn't know you could go into so much depth. I will have another video coming up very soon where I'm gonna dive way deeper into Portal, but for now, if you go to the Portal experience in Battlefield 2042, you are first met with some preset game modes. The first one is called VIP Fiesta, played on the map Arica Harbor from Battlefield Bad Company 2. Yes, in Portal you have content from Battlefield Bad Company 2, Battlefield 1942, and Battlefield 3, and of course also all of the content from the main game Battlefield 2042. And over time more content will be added. But like I said, you are first met with some preset experiences. VIP Fiesta is a TDM setup where your team needs to find and kill a specific enemy, the VIP, on the enemy's team to score points. After the VIP dies, a different player will be assigned as the VIP, and the first team to kill the enemy VIP 15 times wins the match. Basic rules apply here, but the characters and loadouts are from Battlefield 1942 and Bad Company 2. So you have World War II soldiers with World War II weapons fighting against the Bad Company soldiers and weapons. Now that's pretty cool in my opinion. You also have the core rush game mode from Battlefield Bad Company 2 as we played it back in the day. This is on Arica Harbor and Valparaiso, and it really feels like a remastered version of Battlefield Bad Company 2, which is just really cool to have in current day, you know what I mean? Same goes for Battlefield 1942 on the maps El Alamein and Battle of the Bulge, you know, the classic way of playing. And of course the Battlefield 3 experience as well, my favorite obviously being TDM on Nosha Canal. So these are just the preset game modes you see initially, but you can browse through different servers with different rules from different people. And it can get really wacky. The rules you can create can go into so much depth. For example, I played a free-for-all game mode, which is already a first for the Battlefield franchise, and in this free-for-all you only had a rocket launcher with one rocket, and you could only get another rocket by jumping 5 times. Obviously it's a little bit silly, but this is just to showcase how crazy the rules can get. Like I said, I'm gonna go into much more detail in a later video, and I'm gonna go and play my own game modes as well with my own rules, and you can join too. Last but not least, Hazard Zone. For the people who are new to this mode or don't know much about it, the goal is actually very simple. Drop in, use a scanner to locate data drives from fallen satellites, collect them, and wait for extraction to get the hell out of there. Obviously it's not that simple, as other squads are trying to do the same thing. There are 2 extraction opportunities for you and your squad, but there are 8 squads in total fighting it out on the map, or 6 squads on last gen. On top of that, there are enemy AI on the map as well, and here is my first tip: treat these enemy AI soldiers as if they were real players, because they are freaking ruthless. They are actually very good. They are not on recruit difficulty, that's for sure. So when you are about to collect data drives with these AI soldiers going around, don't think you can just quickly hop in and hop out, unless maybe you have some sort of vehicle, which is actually really powerful in this mode. You can usually call in a vehicle after finding these vehicle call-ins scattered around the map, and you can see them on your minimap. And you should definitely pick them up because, like I said, they're really good. Same goes for redeploy tokens. You can also see them on your minimap, and it basically grants your squad another chance after you die, so it's really good. Another thing you should pick up if you're just starting out and don't have your own loadout yet is the enemy's weapons. Because you only have a starting weapon without any attachments, you are better off just picking up the enemy's guns. They are often much better and have way better attachments. So those are just some quick tips I can think of after playing it a little bit. And I gotta say, Hazard Zone is very intense. Your actions in Hazard Zone, like a successful extraction with data drives, will give you dark market credits, which you can then use to further enhance your loadout before dropping in. So that will help, but having a good squad makes things a lot easier obviously as well. But the fact that the enemy AI are so good and everything is so high stakes makes extracting feel very rewarding. So that's Hazard Zone. Let me know down below in the comments if you have any tips yourself, you know, whether it be about Hazard Zone, Portal, or All Out Warfare. Let me know down below. And that's about it for the video, guys. Be sure to click the link in the description or in the pinned comment to check out Battlefield 2042. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please drop a like and subscribe with notifications on. And don't forget to join the Discord server to play some Portal game modes together soon. And with that being said, I see you guys next time.